Welcome back to Love, Death, and Movies podcast, the podcast where Harry is much better at intros than I am. This is the podcast that is crushing watch lists week after week and a new genre month over month. This month, as you all know, we are continuing with our coming of age month, which is a fun, pretty standard genre, getting back to the basics here, with another amazing film. So last week we covered Boyhood, with a special guest. That'll be a lot of fun. Can't wait for you guys to listen. But this week we are talking essential summer movie, The Way, Way Back. So before we get into the movie, Harry, how you doing? How's your morning going?
Yeah, well, a peek behind the curtain, probably because we're wearing the exact same thing as we
Yeah,
were last episode. My morning's doing the same as it was previous episode.
that's why I didn't ask you how your week was because I
I
already know
thought
that.
you were.
So
I
I
thought you were
figured,
going to. Um,
know,
yeah, no, my day so far has been perfect. Been absolutely perfect. Get to hang out with some friends, talk some movies, I'm very keen to talk about this one. This one's like a very much a film that as soon as I rewatched it, I've just been recommending it to everyone because it's just such an accessible film, and it's one that's like guaranteed everyone to like at least. Like I love, but like
right.
this is just such a feel good, not feel good, but it's like just such a good movie. But how are
Right.
you, Ash? How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, no, day's been good. It's 6:21. Scooter is being temperamental now, so that's fun.
Goddamn
And I'm
Scooter.
gonna have pizza after this. So I am
What type?
pepperoni.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That, that is the
And Scooter's
greatest.
gonna now be my little co-host here along with you. So that's what we're
It's
doing.
probably better
But yeah,
quality, to be honest.
I am excited to talk this film as well. So let's just jump into it. So we know how we're doing. We're back to back recording, back on that.
I remember.
Sometimes it's a necessity. So yeah, so The Way Way Back was directed by Jim Rash and Nat Saxon. Man, that's a mouthful to say. Those are
That
some
is.
interesting names,
Say that five times fast. You can't.
right? Actually, fun fact, Harry, this movie was released exactly 11 years ago today for me, July 5th, 2013.
Wow.
It is a 4th of July movie, so it's very fitting that it released the day after. I don't know if you knew that,
I
but
did
it
not know
is.
that. No.
So happy anniversary to this movie. But yeah, so this movie was a Sundance film. So it came out at Sundance, January 2013, and then got picked up, I think, by Searchlight and was released in July.
Wow.
This movie follows Duncan, who is an awkward teen who must spend the summer at a beach house with his mother, her boyfriend, and his obnoxious teenage daughter.
Oh, she's the worst. She's the.
She is the worst. So this movie had a $5 million budget, pretty small. It did make 26.9 million. So it's not bad. It didn't, blow up. It didn't, do super, super well, but 2013 had a lot of big movies. So it's kind of one of those, you know, years where Sundance movies don't usually do
They're not
super,
made
super
for
well at the
profit.
box office.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not made for profit. They're made to
exactly.
like widen a library so that they can sell off that library to
Yeah.
streaming services. Yeah.
But I really love this movie. And I think it's honestly great that it even made money. I'm just happy to see that. So we'll take it. But yeah, before we jump in, I guess tell me what your relationship is like with this film, or your general thoughts on it. I guess how many times you've seen it, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I love this film. This film's great. I think I watched it for the first time only a few years ago. So I was very like a late comer to this film, but I think since then I've seen it maybe 4 or 5 times. Like it's just such a easy rewatch film.
Mm.
I think it's got everything that you kind of want from a good coming of age story. I think Duncan's a great protagonist. He's a bit weird, but they always are in these type of films. But like I don't mind that at all. But it's also just like he's like a vessel for everyone around him. Like he's a vessel to show like how much of like a good like that Tony Collette is trying to just be like a good mum, but also trying to re-find herself. How much of a good person Sam Rockwell is, and how much of a complete and utter asshole Steve Carell is. Like Steve Carell is like we talked about this in during our Boyhood episode. We should do a ranking of like just of movie characters that you just want to fucking punch. Because
Yep.
Steve Carell in this film, up there. Because I know, like, this is also one that I know that I would win. Like, I would absolutely destroy this guy. I hate Steve Carell in this film. But again, he did really well, considering it's Steve
Mhm.
Carell doing it. So, well done there. But, like, everything about this movie, I just think is so just fun. It's very vibey. I just, like, it's just a movie that I can just constantly go back to and rewatch. It's a very accessible film as well. It's a
Mhm.
movie that like is one for everyone. There's something in there for everybody. But yeah, So that's
Yeah.
where I think away we're back until I give you my score later on. But it's
Yeah.
Candyland, Trent. It's Candyland. Um,
Yeah, no, this is a great film. I think it has a great ensemble cast. I think it's a very unexpected cast. Obviously, you have some people who are more introduction actors like Liam James, who plays Duncan, but then you have Steve Carell, Tony Collette, Maya Rudolph, Sam Rockwell, and then obviously even um, Jim Rash and Nat Saxon are both in the movie playing these funny side characters. And then even Anna Sophia Robb, shout out her, the girl from Bridge to Terabithia.
yeah,
She was definitely a big childhood actor whenever I was growing up. So definitely a very interesting cast, but I think it's great. Even Amanda Peet and I always forget the guy who plays Kip. I always forget that actor's
Rob
name, but he's like
Corddry.
in, yeah, in Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah,
So you got a lot of great people, kind of unexpected cast put together. And oh my God, Allison Janney. How did I even forget
dude, she's the
to
best in
mention her?
this. She's
She's
the
the
best.
best. We talk about this all the time. We've reviewed so many movies where she's been like a side character, and she's fantastic in every single one of them.
Yeah, she's fucking amazing. I'm glad
Amazing.
she finally got her Oscar because she got it for I, Tonya, I believe.
Yes.
But like,
Deservedly so.
there's so many scenes in this film that she's just so funny because she's got the kid that has a
Yes.
lazy eye. It's like, I don't
Mhm.
know where you're looking. Like, just stop pointing.
Yeah, she's like that mom where she says a lot of out of pocket things you probably should not say to your kids. But she still loves them so much, but she's just like kind of that like unhinged drunk mom. You just never know what she's going to say next.
What's her
But
son's name again? Is it Richie? Was it
Peter,
Peter? Is like, Peter, your eye freaked him out again.
yeah. Yeah, their relationship is funny. But yeah, no, I think this, I agree with everything you said. For me, this movie, I look at it more, from Duncan's perspective. We just got done talking about Boyhood. This movie is also from like a young teenage perspective. And really how, for me, it's all about learning like how crucial it is to have that adult influence when you're growing up. It doesn't have to be your parent. For some of us it is. For other people, it's an aunt and uncle, someone that you work for. It could be anyone, but you need that essential like adult person in your life to really guide you and like help you figure out what life's all about. And especially when you're 14, I feel like that's such a pivotal age that he's at. And he's awkward. He's more, maybe in that like geeky, nerdy kind of interest. And he doesn't know how to talk to people. And I think
Yep.
that's the biggest thing he learns is just how to be accepted, and
Yep.
that's kind of the biggest, message I think that comes across here. Yeah, you have like he's a vessel for all these things happening around him, but I really do think at the end of the day, it's about accepting yourself
For
and also
sure.
not being, I guess okay with accepting people treating you like shit,
Giving you a
learning how to stand for
3 out
yourself.
of 10 to start off with. A 3 out
Yeah,
of
let's
10's fucking. That already, I'm like, oh, you're done.
jump right in since you're already
Oh,
going
I'm
there.
fucking pissed off already at this
I
motherfucker.
know.
Oh,
So part 1,
part
I
one.
think you're a 3. I
Oh,
named these parts.
nice. Well, I'm going to give that one an 8 out of 10.
Okay. We open to Duncan, Pam, Trent, and Steph driving to the Summer Lake house while Pam and Steph are asleep. Trent, who is Pam's
Of
boyfriend,
course, he's
decides
Trent.
to, yeah, it's a horrible name, decides to ask Duncan, who is all the way in the way, way back of the car, what he thinks he is out of 10, which is this opening gives me chills. Like,
Yeah.
I love it. And then, Duncan feels pestered, but he ends up saying, I think I'm a 6. And then he's like, well, I think you're a 3. You want me to tell you why I think you're a 3? We just really get a great picture of who Trent is in this opening. Basically he says like you should aim to increase that score this summer. So that's kind of the tone that we set with
Ah,
this opening. This opening to me is like critical for the rest of the story because it really does sit with Duncan and it plays a role into how he sees himself, which was already not great. He's already an insecure, awkward 14-year-old with a lack of a father figure in his life. His dad's not really around. He's not living with him. He's living with his mom. And he's kind of desperately seeking like any adult who will actually give a shit about him. So that moment to me, this opening is so critical for the whole movie. We arrive at Trent's Lake House where we meet Betty, played by the hilarious Allison Janney.
she's the
She's
best in this.
the best.
You brought me a
Uh,
man.
yeah, exactly. She's in your face, she's drunk off her ass. She swears she's only had one margarita, but we know that's a lie.
No.
She's lost count at this point. But we also meet her teenage daughter, Susanna, who is kind of the opposite. She's very guarded, very antisocial. She appears that way, at least. She's a bit more quiet. And then she also tells us about her son, Peter, who we don't quite meet yet. And then she also has another older son who is like out of high school age. But yeah, Trent basically instructs his daughter Steph to take Duncan to the beach. I think they kind of indicate that they want to be alone without the kids. So basically, kind of forces him out. Steph is just the worst and doesn't want to take him because she's just too cool for school.
Yep.
And Duncan reluctantly goes, obviously, with her. Susanna's at the beach as well, and this is kind of where we see him start to pique his interest, into her. I think he immediately sort of is like intrigued by her, but this is kind of where I think he starts to notice like her personality a little bit, like she's not like the other girls, which I think kind of piques his interest a little bit. Then we meet Kip and Joan, who are also the worst neighbor friends of Trent's. Joan's obnoxious, flirty, and Kip is basically oblivious and very like simple-minded, kind of just like your typical dude, not a whole lot going on.
Ugh, men,
Yeah, the
Ugh.
worst. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, this is an interesting couple dynamic when you mix them with obviously Trent and Pam. But yeah, during these scenes, you can kind of just see how unhappy and lonely Duncan is, with watching him on the beach with his like, I guess sort of stepsister kind of figure. Watching him with his mom and Trent, he's very distant. He's very much feeling, I think, kind of alone, even though he's with people physically,
Yeah.
which you can just see the looks on his face. He doesn't really have to say anything in those moments to make you understand that. And then Pam, I think at this point sort of appears like she knows that like something's impacting him, but like she won't say anything really. Like she knows that Trent's behavior is impacting him. She can see it, but she sort of just wants to like keep the peace, I think, for everybody's sake. And she clearly has some struggles with maybe her relationships in the past and what she's kind of been willing to accept. So I think you can kind of see that reflected here, which I think is really important to kind of show like what kind of person Duncan came from, because I think that kind of shows how he acts as well.
Yep.
In my opinion, at least, you can kind of see that she's kind of weak, and so he kind of therefore also acts weak. Um, Duncan and Susanna finally talk for the first time, which is kind of a fun little scene where you can tell he's super uncomfortable, and she's like kind of trying to make conversation, and he's like, "Oh, hot summer," and she's like, "Oh, I thought we
I
were
thought
done
that
with
we're
our
done.
conversation." So I like that. I think she's kind of like she's not afraid of him. And that's the thing you kind of get with like the dynamic of the younger guy and the older girl. She's more confident. She's not unsure of herself. So she's good to just talk to him. Whereas he's very much uncomfortable and doesn't really know how to navigate that conversation, which I think is so realistic for
Oh
that
yeah.
age range, which is great.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, the last part here, and then I'll leave it off, is when Duncan finally goes to the pizza shop.
Oh yeah.
His mom like leaves him $20 and says like, go have fun. And this is where he meets Owen for the first time, which they get a glimpse of each other when he's in the back of the car and Owen pulls up behind him and he kind of like gives him a little smile. I love that moment because
So do
Duncan just
I.
like is like, oh, somebody's like noticing me, and he kind of like smiles back, which is great.
It's
But yeah, so he meets him at the Pac-Man video game, and they sort of just like start chit chatting. Owen's obviously like very like quippy, and has these like funny little one-liners. He's wearing the Water Whiz jacket, which we also see the sign for at the beginning, so we kind of know there's like a water park nearby. And basically, they end it with Owen's like, "Hey, I gotta go, but take over my game, and tell me if you end up winning on my quarters." So that's a really sweet moment they have kind of right off the bat. So, and then obviously that kind of comes up later, but I'll stop there. So what do you think about the opening introduction of these characters? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit already, but anything else to add?
Yeah. No. You said that all beautifully. The one point to add there, I love Owen. I think everyone watching this movie loves Owen.
Mhm.
He's the everyone's favorite character in this film. But Jesus had a stutter. They had I'm just rebooting right now.
Yeah.
They just had they had that great discussion at the Pac-Man machine. How he's like, I've never gotten past the first level. He keeps me something to like dream about. He's like, well, the second level is the exact same. He's like, well, thank you for that. And
Yeah.
he's like, well, why don't you they all go into a pattern. He's like, games aren't fun if you know the pattern. And then he like leaves. He goes, remember, don't do any patterns on my quarter. Like, I like
Yeah.
that little like
Hmm.
motif there. I think that's really cool. I love this opening. I like how it just drops you into it. It's not just like a family, they're deciding to go on a holiday and then they go on a holiday. It's like, no, they're already on the way. And you can kind of already tell that they've been together for a couple of months at least.
Yeah.
Trent obviously looks down on Duncan, which is awful. And he continues to throughout this whole thing of like just the way he talks to him, of just like if we're gonna make this work, and it is a we. And he's like, all right, champion, you're talking to a 13-year-old. Like, fuck
Mhm.
off. But you'll probably touch on it. The whole life
Yeah.
vest thing is fucking so mean. Um, yeah, I think that dynamic is already set right there. I think Toni Collette. I've said this many times. I think she is the greatest living actress. Um, Anything she does, she's spectacular in. And even in this film, like you see a woman that like I don't want to use the word desperate, but it's like she is quite desperate to find
Mhm.
happiness, find like, and that's why I think she's at least at the start, she's more like desperate to like find the good in the bad. When by the end of it, she's like the bad isn't worth my time. It's like how I see it of like because like I we can get to the film and we could get to the end of the film and discuss the end. I very much think that after this car ride's over, that relationship's done. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah, they're just getting home and like her moving to the back seat. I think very much represents like I'm not sitting next to that motherfucker again. Yeah, I love the opening. I just love, you know me. I love a close setting, and this being like a little town where everything just happens this one summer. I love it. It's like Amity Island, just less killings.
Mhm.
But yeah, great start. Love it.
Yeah. No, I
Also,
definitely agree.
also
I think
shout out to Alison Janney. She's
so
so
great.
good in everything. God damn it, Peter. I love her
She's
so.
just like um talking about how, oh, my husband wanted to name our son Duncan, or I wanted to name him Duncan, but my husband said it was too like nerdy. So we went with Peter, which I think is much worse. Like she's just going on. Like I feel like everyone has those neighbors or like family friends growing up, but they're just like in your face. They'll talk to you even if you're not ready for it or don't want it. So
Yeah,
it's a fun character to add to this dynamic. Where clearly they've been there for summers, hanging out with each other. So she's clearly very comfortable.
yeah,
I love how she just makes Pam feel comfortable immediately. So yeah, love Betty. And yeah, I think just the introduction to Duncan is this part for me really is just like setting the tone for, you can really quickly figure out who he is, kind of the type of kid he is, the struggles he's been through, and that he's trying to figure himself out. He has no idea who he is, and no adult has probably ever really asked him or taken interest in asking him that question. So I think that's where Sam Rockwell comes in and is really crucial to him. I think that Pam probably is a really good mom. I think she probably
she
loves
is.
him,
You could
but I
tell
think
she
she's
cares.
too, yeah, she's too lost in her own
Yeah,
romantic life and her own desperation. I know you didn't want to use that word, but like of wanting to make relationships work.
yeah. Like I'm not
Where
saying that she's desperate and going for
no,
anything, but like you know what I mean. Like she's just like she's desperate in finding something. So she rather puts other one's needs ahead of
yeah,
herself. She's blinded by the. She doesn't look at the bad and focus on the good. And sometimes that's not a good way
yeah.
to do it.
Oh yeah, and we don't want, and I'm not even saying like necessarily that she's like it's a problem that she's not like leaving Trent, even though she probably knows he's not a good. It's not a desperation
No.
in that sense. It's more of a like it's like she said later in the movie, like light it's confusing and like we do things to protect ourselves. And sometimes that means you actually hurt yourself because you're doing what you're comfortable with. And
Yeah.
clearly she's comfortable with being in a relationship like this, even though she knows it's probably not for the best. So that's kind of where that desperation comes from, which I think is an important like role to kind of represent. She
Yeah.
kind of plays, I feel like, a really good like balance between someone like that and someone like Sam Rockwell, who's
Yep.
clearly like a totally different page. So
I
yeah.
love the first conversation between Duncan and Susanna though, because it's right after
Yeah.
Duncan was just like lying on the hood of the car,
Mhm.
singing
Mario.
REO Speedwagon, and she's like, "So you're a big fan of REO Speedwagon?
Yeah.
What? Can't fight this feeling? Oh no, my mum must have put that on there. Oh, so you just got to it and thought, what the hell? I'll sing the shit out of it anyway."
So good.
I love it.
I
She's
love her
great.
character. She's
She's
great.
she's great. You can already tell just by looking at her that she's like not part of that clicky group as well.
Mhm.
Just like she's just there reading her book and stuff, and the other girls are trying to get the attention of the jocks that are on the beach.
Yep.
Chad.
Sad.
Um, babe, I told you I'm tossing the ball. Don't
Yeah.
distract me, and I'm doing it. We've had this conversation. Like fucking
I don't
loser.
know why he's being weird. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's just so perfect. Like those characters are very tropey. But I feel like Susanna brings like a new element. She's
Yeah.
not like the typical coming of age. love interest where she's like super edgy and like cool and unique. You know, she's not that type of girl, but she's just like very real and like
Yeah,
she just wants to talk about real shit, which I think is what Duncan needs. So, yeah, I like their dynamic a lot.
wholeheartedly.
Perfect. Well, part two, Duncan finds his people.
Okay, I'm gonna give that an 8 as well. It's constant. It's constant good.
Cool.
Great.
I'll take it. Everyone goes out on the boat together, which is what
Whoa.
you were mentioning before. Poor Duncan is kind of embarrassed and forced to wear a life vest when nobody else is, not even Peter, who's clearly probably 3, 4 years younger than him. So it's just, again, Trent kind of intentionally trying to show him, like, I'm big, you're small, like, I'm in charge, and I don't really care what you think about it.
Yeah.
So you kind of that this scene kind of just kind of shows that animosity again that we've kind of already been building up a little bit. And then again, Pam sort of doing nothing, but she senses that something's wrong. Like she even goes up to him and is just like kind of not even giving him shit, but sort of just like, what's going on? Why are you all doom and gloom kind of thing? Which when you're young, I don't know if you were like this, but I was, when I'm already in a bad mood, you coming up to me and saying like, why aren't you more happy or smiling? It's just going to piss me off more. It's
Yeah.
not going to make me want to be happy,
Not at
right?
all. Not at all.
I feel like
That's
he
the
kind of gets that.
wrong thing to say for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like Pam cares and but she like doesn't have the right things to say. It's like she doesn't know her son very well. It's kind of the way that I interpret it. She's a good mom, but she doesn't know him very well and how he likes to receive, I feel like, love and attention from an adult.
Yeah, but he's also
Uh,
going through like the teenage years where they
yeah,
become like a completely different person.
that's
Uh,
true.
but
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't give off that as much. To me, he just seems like a lost kid still,
yeah,
not quite that like mood. I don't feel like he's being moody just for the sake of
no,
I'm a moody teenager, but I think Steph has more of that like, leave me alone. I'm a teenager. I can do what I want kind
yeah.
of attitude.
At no point is he acting like a dick.
No.
Like the whole time he's just doing himself and he's just getting ridiculed for it.
Hmm.
Like
Exactly.
and like
Yeah.
he very much is a bit like standoffish with Trent, but
Yeah.
there's a fucking reason why Trent's a piece of shit. Like absolutely.
Yeah. He's being a bit like kind and non-confrontational in my opinion compared to how you'd probably want to be in those moments, which obviously changes throughout the movie. um
Oh, there's that great scene. We'll
yeah.
get to it. We'll get to it.
Oh yeah, so basically like this boat scene sort of just showcases more of like that Trent Duncan dynamic, and also um you know Duncan expressing frustration to his mom, and she kind of just tells him like, please just try, like for me, please just do this.
Yeah.
So he kind of gets fed up. He escapes. He finds a little girl's bike in the garage or something, and he goes off for a ride. I feel like if you're a pissed off kid, going for a bike ride is definitely on top of the list. Uh, oh, do you have a question?
Did they rent this house or was this like Trent's
No,
house?
this is his lake house. So it's kind of like where I grew up. Like we have like people have cabins because it's like a couple hours away. There's like the mountains. So what my theory with this, I think it's in New York.
Right.
So in New York, it's common for people to have like summer lake houses. So you just go to that place for the summer.
That's lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, yeah. You got to have money to be able to do it,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's his lake house. And I'm assuming he had with like his ex-wife. And yeah,
I see. Because I was trying to figure out. I'm like, is it the daughter's old bike? Is what he's
that's
riding?
kind of what I assumed.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So he goes, he sees the water park, and he sort of just like gets like captivated by it and remembers, I think, that they were talking about it. And he also saw the sign when they were driving in. So he parks it, goes and just sits there, and immediately Owen comes out and notices him and
I
recognizes
love it.
him.
Yo,
Uh,
Pac-Man. Yeah.
Pac-Man kid, how'd it go? Yeah, and I love that moment where he's just like coming out. You can tell he lives there. Obviously, we know
Yeah.
that just from him walking out. But I also love how the vibe of this place is like so chill. Like it feels like a locally owned little water park, like breaking rules, having fun. Like
It's a perfect
nobody's
summer job. Perfect summer job.
perfect. Um, so yeah, he has that conversation where he remembers him, and then he shows back up to the water park the next day as well, and kind of starts to have this like connection that he builds with Owen. He has this like specific sense of humor that Duncan doesn't really understand, I guess, immediately. So I love kind of those different one-liners that he throws at him, and he's just like, wow, do you even get comedy? Like, just like the most serious kid. He's taking everything so literally,
It's
which
so
is funny.
funny.
They're very opposite, so it's cool to watch their dynamic.
It's so good to watch because, like, I think he needed
Yes.
Duncan, especially to because I'm sure you'll talk about Maya Rudolph, but their relationship there is like so
Hmm.
on the precipice of something good. You could tell,
Yep.
but it just needed like Sam Rockwell to kind of I don't know grow up a little bit, and
Hmm.
I feel like that's what
Yeah.
Duncan's there for.
100%. Yeah. So I mean, basically during this part, like he meets Lewis, he meets Caitlin, who's Maya Rudolph's character. He meets Roddy, kind of while Owen's showing him around, which I just love that he just like takes him in and he's just like, let's show you around the whole place, meet everybody. Like, don't ask any questions, just like sort of just takes him under his wing immediately,
Yep.
which I think these moments are really important for Duncan because he's finally getting treated like a person, like he's
Yeah.
someone who's taking interest in him and just wanting him to have a good time
Yep.
and enjoy his life for what he wants to do, not what he's being forced to do. So yeah, anyways, they have these great scenes. We kind of see Duncan loosening up a little bit. Obviously, we see Owen has like a young heart and he really is like goofy and like you said, kind of unserious and not really grown up yet. Um, but somehow still such a great like role model for Duncan, even though he's not fully matured. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not funny that he's like still so much better than what Duncan's been dealing with that it's like it doesn't even matter that he's kind of got more of that kid
It's kind
mind.
of like, but he needs that like immature
Hmm.
aspect to kind of come back to, because like like even seeing like that first interaction where he's just like, you don't get humor, do you? Like stuff
Yeah.
like that.
He's
You're
like,
like,
you don't get comedy, right? Like he has a
yeah,
dry sense of humor, right? Which is like sometimes for people like that are people that are like Duncan, where they're kind of more that like socially awkward, kind of like takes everything so seriously. You're not going to understand dry humor. Like you're going to be just like too literal for it.
yeah,
So it's funny to watch him slowly like loosen up and kind of grow out of that. So yeah, I just think Owen's such a great character for him.
I love him.
And yeah, basically by the end of this part of the movie, Owen offers um to take Duncan home at the end of the day in his car because he's going to ride the bike back. And this is after a couple days of going back and forth at the park. And he is just like the long conversations. It's so funny. I don't
Get
remember
in
how
the
he
car. Yeah.
What are conversations, Duncan? We've got to start learning how to do this. Like, get in the damn car.
I love
Um,
him, man. He's so good with him.
he really is. So basically, he drops him off, and he's just like, you know, looking for someone to, do a couple things at the park. So if you want, I got a job for you. Basically, just tells him to report to work the next day at 9 a.m. And I feel like Duncan looks the happiest that we've seen him look the entire
He's
movie.
finally got something.
He's got something of his own. So I'll stop here. I know we've already been having commentary in between. So anything else you want to add here? I just wanted to mention like the amazing soundtrack
Yeah, the
and music.
soundtrack sounds disgusting. There's a song that's towards the end when he like runs out of the
Hmm.
car to go, and that song itself is
I
so
know. I
damn
don't remember
good.
how that goes, but I definitely know which one you're talking about, and it's a really good one.
Yeah, it's like oh man, it's awesome. But yeah, no, you're saying everything perfectly. That like just really love the introduction of this relationship that Duncan and what's Sam Rockwell's character's name?
Oh,
Owen, yeah. They're what they're starting to do. You can definitely tell like they're each taking something out of it, which is really really good. Um, is this the background that we already kind of have suspicions that Steve Carell's being a bit shady, like yet, or is
well,
this?
we haven't really gotten there quite yet to
That's
the
right.
party, but yeah, we kind of can sense that like he seems off, but we haven't had any like actual moments where we've seen anything yet.
And do we think? I'm just gonna ask you a question here, Ash. Do we think Kip is dumb or just doesn't do anything about it?
You could go either way, to be honest with you. I would
There
believe
is no way he doesn't know. There
I
is
feel like he
no.
just doesn't care. I feel like he does not care about her. He's just married because he's married and like he just wants to go out on his boat. He just does not give a shit.
Yeah, yeah, fair play. Well, this part of the film at least, I think is great. I think it's the start of Owen finding something, to kind of, because he needs to get away from this house. Like again, like we both agree that Pam's a great mum. She is,
Huh?
but she right now is going through something pretty toxic that it's
Hmm.
good for Owen to kind of step away from. And kind of find the fact that he finds it himself, I think, is really
Hmm.
important as well.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, like I didn't put like it fully in the notes here, but before we get to this next part three, I will briefly just touch on what you were saying about Caitlin and Owen, because during this section of the movie is also where Duncan kind of witnesses them like have a real like kind of fight conversation.
Yeah.
And up until this point, he's only really seen like his parents, and then obviously seen his mom with her boyfriends, and who knows how those have all been. It's kind of like almost like a different type of romance like fight that he gets to witness, and I feel like it actually kind of ends up being pivotal in Duncan's growth
Yeah.
to watch Owen kind of see someone be like, look, you need to grow the fuck up. Like, I'm not going to do this every summer for the next however many years. Like, figure your shit out. This is just a job now. Like, he sees that she's serious, and then seeing Owen change from that,
Even
that's
like the
important for
very
Duncan to
next
see.
day.
Yeah, like he immediately
Yeah.
takes it seriously and is like, oh, okay, that's what happens when people actually love each other. They hear the feedback and then they like actually make change. So I think it's really important for Duncan to see that
Yeah.
because
Great
of
point.
Trent and Pam's relationship.
Shout out to Maya Rudolph. She's great in this movie.
Love her. Yeah.
She's always just so lovable, you know?
I know she is. That's so true.
I'd easily sink 17 Cosmopolitans with her. Like, easily. We would talk mad shit. We'd people
I love
watch.
it.
And then,
I
yeah.
love it.
Oh, yeah. She's great.
Great. All right. Well, we'll jump into part three then. Trent's true colors come out.
That's a 9. It's a 9.
I think you're gonna love the last one. Okay, so Betty has her annual party where Pam sort of again abandons Duncan to go off and smoke weed and like basically just act like a teenager with her friends.
Is it a bit of a midlife crisis, you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what she's going through. I have to
Okay.
imagine. But yeah, he wanders off with Susanna and her brother Peter as they look for crabs on the
You
beach.
want to go see ghost crabs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that whole conversation that they talk about. She spends a lot of time talking about her dad, which I think is really cool.
Yep.
That, her and Duncan share so many deep conversations where, he's not really opening up, but he's listening to her kind of open up, which I think is cool that we're kind of getting to see him just sort of like get to know this person without actually revealing a lot of information about himself.
Yep.
It's almost like he can sense that Susanna knows he's going through it right now. So he's sort of like focusing more on her than
Yeah.
himself, right? It's kind of just interesting to watch. But this is when he comes back, is when he notices Trent making out with Joan,
Yep.
hiding just behind the house while everybody's just hanging out. They're supposed to be getting s'mores stuff and like just start groping each other and making out. So that's great. Duncan does not look surprised in the slightest when he sees this. I feel like he kind of sensed it. Not sure that Pam really does or did at this point, but he doesn't seem surprised, at least in the way that I kind of view it.
It's sort of more like he doesn't know how to react. Like I
Well, how
like
do you, yeah,
I
how do
don't
you?
I don't think this is a bad thing this of course isn't a bad thing at all. I do think that the way that Duncan's written and shown he is on the spectrum. I do think he's
Mhm.
like just like the way he's like not able to function socially. But like seeing stuff like that, he just doesn't know how to fucking react to it. But it's also exactly what you said. It's right out in the open, you fucking morons. Like it's so arrogant and stupid.
Yeah. Well, also, I think he knows that like he knows his mom. That's the thing is even though
Yes.
you and I don't get to see her prior relationships to this, like he knows her, and I feel like he knows that if he told her right in that moment that she would just like find a way to deny. Like I think he knows that she's not going to deal with it.
Yeah.
And
He
so
even
that's why
pointed
he's
out.
like it doesn't matter if I say anything.
Yeah, because I just thinking about it as well. We get the first kind of glimpse that there was something between it's Joan, right? Joan and Trent. When they're getting off the boat and Joan doesn't allow him to take the hand, and you're like, oh, that's weird. But
Mhm.
then you obviously like, oh, I want you know exactly what's happening already because
Yeah.
we're not idiots. But yeah, you're wholeheartedly correct. You're like I reckon he's hoping that his mum would do something, but he knows that his mum's not going to do anything,
Yeah.
and he does point that out to her pretty brutally.
No, he does. Yeah, we'll get to that.
I love that scene, but
Basically,
yeah,
yeah, no, me too. It's a great one. And I think here you do get a glimpse of Pam when she's like laughing at the fire. I think it's actually a really good like
great.
acting on Toni Collette's part, but it's like there's no talking in that scene. She's like laughing and then she sees him walk out
She knows.
and then she sees Joan walk a little bit later and she's kind of like you watch her go from smile to like
Realization.
horrified and like sad so quickly on her face without saying anything, which is just showcases how great she is. But
You know why she can showcase that, Ash?
she's the greatest living actress.
She's the greatest living actress. She absolutely is. Toni Collette can never do a bad
She can't.
performance.
She can't. It's true.
She's outstanding. Give her an Oscar.
Do
Gi-
it.
Give her an Oscar.
So after this kind of like heartbreaking moment, we do kind of switch over to a lot of scenes of now Duncan just kind of deciding that, you know what, this summer's about me. So I'm going to focus on my enjoyment at this water park. So we kind of just flash through like moments of him as he starts his first official day. I think it's called Water Whiz,
Yep.
where Owen gives him the responsibility of breaking up some dancing that's going on, which results in him ending up having to dance in this circle of people and getting his nickname, Poppin' Lock.
Pop and lock.
The
Pop and
scene is so
lock.
adorable. Like when he walks away and he's just so happy.
Yeah.
I just love it. I think it's really sweet.
I do love
So
how they're
we,
all crowding around him because they all know that
Mhm.
nothing's bad's gonna happen. They know,
Yeah,
like, it's just a bunch of dancers, but they're all just like, put him on his head, put him on his
yeah,
head.
exactly.
That's so good.
And they do. They do. But yeah, I love watching like him slowly become confident and happy, for the first time. You can tell this is like the first time this kid has ever been this happy in his life.
Yeah.
He spends, time with the gang there. He's starting to get, closer to them. I think he even starts to be a bit more like vocal about his feelings, and not putting up with as much shit. He even starts to
Yep.
get a little bit more, I'll call it like lippy. Like he gets a little bit more like little like remarks at Trent, and his mom whenever he's coming and going from the lake house. So he's definitely not as afraid to speak his mind, getting a little bit more into that like cocky teenager that you were sort of talking about before.
Wholeheartedly correct. Yep.
And now we come to our favorite scene, which is sadly a rainy day that brings everyone stuck inside, not going to the water park, and we get the infamous Candyland scene.
It's
Uh,
Candyland, Trent. Sorry. Sorry.
I feel like the way she delivers that line, it's like there's so much like
So
like
much behind it.
anger, but she's like so sad underneath the anger, and that's why I love her reaction where it's just like she's yelling, but then she's like crying and running upstairs because
He's just being such an asshole for
yeah.
no reason.
Yeah, I think for me, this scene is like really important in seeing who Trent really is because it's so subtle. Like, this isn't a guy who's an asshole like Bill in Boyhood, where he's breaking shit and screaming at people and being a drunk.
No.
Trent is like a subtle dick. Like, this is just
More
who
on
he
the
is, and he's so narcissistic, and like the way his brain operates, he doesn't even realize he's being a dick. That's the thing. Is like that's just his personality. That's just how he talks to people.
I think the Bill, it's like the opposite ends of the abuse spectrum. The Bill's much more on the physical side of abuse in
Mhm.
Boyhood, and Trent's much more on the emotional side of abuse.
100%.
For much more of a
Yep.
gaslighting manipulator,
Yeah.
absolute manipulator. Dude, the guy sucks. But I do love the little quips here and there that said by from all of them, specifically from
Mhm.
Duncan, because you can see throughout the film Duncan gets more and more confident, and I do
Yep.
think that if he didn't meet Owen, he wouldn't have been able to stand up for his mom and
Oh,
that
no.
in this scene that
Definitely
that'll
not.
be coming up. But like when Trent's just gone for the night and he comes back, he's just like, oh yeah, I was on the boat. Which for one, why did Kip not ask any questions? That's all I want to say. Is what it is. But when he comes back, he's just like, "Hey, you got to say something to your mom or something." He goes, "Welcome home," and walks away. And I was like, "Yeah, fuck you, Trent, fuck you, Trent. It's Candyland, Trent. It's Candyland."
Yes. Sorry, backtracking a little bit because I was going to talk about the scene you're mentioning with the staying out all night, but it's so true. Like, who was buying that story anyways?
No one
Nobody was
was.
buying it. Nobody was buying it.
No.
Um, but anyway, so yeah, the Candyland scene I think is really crucial, just because of, like I said, the subtleness of like his personality is like so concerning. Like that man is definitely verbally, emotionally abusive for sure.
Yes.
But then after this, at least once the rain clears, we do have um, that great moment where we have Duncan showing up. Owen is finally opening, literally, like you said, the next day. He is there
I love
early,
it.
opening up the park after Caitlin gets frustrated with him for his lack of giving a shit, basically, to do things the right way. And I actually wrote this down here, but I already mentioned it because you brought it up earlier. But I had written down what I love about these moments is that Duncan gets to see adults actually trying to be better and do the right thing and
Yeah.
have respect for someone that they care about, which is so important for his development, as well as Owen's. So yeah, I love that whole scene. And he's like, "We do sell coffee. We put the chairs this way." Like
He was
Owen
like, "We
doesn't
do it
even
in
know.
rows." He goes, "I knew that. It's a 10
Yeah.
step. It's a 10-step process.
Yeah. I just love that, like, even Duncan, who's only been there for not very long, knows more than Owen, who's been there for years, right?
Yeah,
So, and then Susanna shows up actually because she's kind of been like wondering where he's going, obviously. So this is when she sort of like shows up at the water park to hang out.
she cares about him.
She does. She does care about him. And I think she's kind of like noticing that he's away from the lake house more. So it's sort of like, okay, well, what's going on with him?
Yep.
But yeah, I think they kind of bond together throughout that, those couple of scenes. Roddy and Owen kind of joke with them about, good luck with the cougar, kind of just like making fun of him for like, who's that?
With
So
the
I
with
love
the
that's just so
microphone.
typical, like, older guys kind of messing with like a kid who's got a crush. So I think that's a
Wholeheartedly.
really relatable moment for a lot of people. But yeah, I just think you can finally kind of see how comfortable he is at this point in the movie. Like this is a big change from the beginning as far as like how he's progressed in his character, how confident he's gotten, and just how much fun he's having, really, at the end of the day, just like getting to be a kid and being around people who actually want to spend time with him.
Yeah.
So, anything else to add here? I know we kind of have been commenting on things along the way, but
No, no, you said it perfectly. I think it's just more and more you see Duncan opening up and just becoming more self confident. Because from the beginning of the film, he's told he's nothing. He's told he's a three.
Mhm.
And I do really like the moment. I think it's after they have the all night party. It's when he tells Sam Rockwell, like breaks down about Trent. He's just like, he called me a three. He called me out of 10. He's like, so you can see that this is just stuck with him the entire time. That he feels like so little about himself. But I think Sam Rockwell's so fucking important to this kid
Mhm.
throughout the whole film. But yeah, exactly what you said. I just love those little moments with Sam Rockwell. Oh, like you can obviously tell he's trying to be better for Maya Rudolph. And even just like she comes in, she immediately notices it as well and starts smiling and goes, "Your shirt's on backwards." Like
I
things
love that. It's
he's
so
just
good.
like, "I knew that. I knew that." It's like he's
He's Mr.
great.
Cool.
Yeah, but he's also like his heart's on his sleeve where like she's walking away and he's just like, Duncan, that's the one that you wait for. That's the
Mhm.
love you wait for. And it's like he's head over heels for this woman.
Well, that's why I love is like Duncan is literally seeing an example of what it looks like when someone actually respects and loves somebody and is like crazy about them, which he's probably never seen for his mom, even
No.
with his dad, I would imagine, based on the picture that we kind of, get painted. So, yeah, I think that's a really great part of the movie. I just love it. It's so summer too, like just all the water splashing, waiting in lines. I'm not sure if water parks are a thing for you, but like I grew up going to one that's not too far from where I grew up, and it was like almost weekly in the summer. Like
That's
we were
awesome.
going to the water park, waiting in line with tubes. Like it's just so nostalgic.
We've got them here. They're not as frequent because we just got heaps of beaches. We just go to the
Yeah,
beach.
that's true. I don't. Yeah, I'm not near beaches,
But
but
we definitely still have a bunch for sure. But yeah, that scene though when Trent finally does come home and Duncan sneaks downstairs and sees the discussion between him and his mum, and you can see that Trent's very much gaslighting her. He goes, "Remember what we said? We're in it together.
Mhm.
Remember?"
Mhm.
You're like, dude, where the fuck have you been? Like,
Yep.
yeah,
True.
yeah. Sorry, I
All
just wanted to
right.
highlight that bit. All you.
Yeah, no, actually, that scene was what I was gonna start for the next part, but we'll just
Nice.
kind of jump to the party. But part four, this is the final part. Harry,
Give it to me.
let's get in the way, way back.
10 out of 10. There you go. She's killed it. She's killed it, guys. She's killed it.
I thought you might like that. So,
This
anyways, I'll pass through the scene that you're mentioning. This is where they spend dinner without Trent. He's been gone all day. He's not shown up for dinner.
also sorry
Yeah.
to add in that section. Just looking at that steak, perfectly cooked.
Oh yeah, she's an amazing cook. Amazing
She's
cook.
unbelievable. She like what can't Tony Collette do? I want that question
Nothing.
answered because I,
Nothing.
I can't think of anything.
So yeah, I do love this scene only because I think there's a little subtle moment at the end where the kids kind of no one's talking, but like Steph just takes that dish from her and just starts helping for the first time. It's almost like
Huge.
without Trent there, everyone's on their best, like actually acting on their best behavior and actually being nice to each other.
Yep.
Like
Respect.
he brings out that lack of respect for the whole family.
Yep.
And
I
yeah, the
liked that.
conversation they have, Duncan hearing them, it's all just, ugh, poor guy. He's fed up. But anyway, so we get to the neighborhood party. This is the big moment.
Oh yeah.
This moment always makes me cry. But I think one thing that's kind of funny to note is that Joan starts dressing exactly like Pam.
Yeah, that
She's
was gross. That
Let's
was
talk about desperate. Joan is actually desperate.
Joan
She is
is
an
desperate.
actual desperate person,
Yep, you're correct. Yep.
which is so sad and gross to watch. But yeah, she starts dressing like Pam. She's like wearing the headpiece that she wears. She's drunk and is like all flirty and steals Trent for a dance. And Kip is just like, I don't know. I'm
Did
just
you
gonna
did you
look this
notice
way.
that Betty completely noticed this as well?
Oh yeah. Oh
Betty's
yeah.
just like, oh, nice headpiece, and then straight away looks at Pam.
Oh no. Yeah. Betty's a real one. She is a
She gets
real
it.
one. She
Betty
gets
gets
it.
it. Betty gets it.
This is where we also find out that Kip's talking about the boat because Betty's like making comments and he's like, oh, yeah, but it's not operating right now. And that's when everything clicks for Pam.
Yeah.
And
And
Duncan
Duncan. And
is
Duncan, yeah.
very, very upset. And
Um,
that's where he's just like, you're going to do something? You know what's going on. And he's just like losing it in front of everybody. He's sleeping with her. And it's just like nobody knows how to react. And I don't know. This part is always so interesting to watch. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times now. Pam's reaction is so interesting. Like she's so mortified and like upset.
yep.
But like I think she's more upset that Duncan just did that in front of everybody,
I think
right?
she's
Like she's very much
embarrassed, yeah.
yeah, she's not a person who's going to put her business out there, right? So that moment's really sad to watch from her perspective, but also like obviously like Duncan even like pushes her, pushes Trent, is just like so fed up. This is like his breaking point, I would call this.
Big time.
And it's uncomfortable to watch. It's very hard to watch. But it's important. It's a very pivotal moment for
I think
him.
it's also more on that she has such little self-respect
Yeah.
for herself. I think she gains it in the story when they go to the water park and she sees what Duncan's done. Like how much he's loved and stuff. He's like the employee of the month is pop and lock
Mm.
and like everything and how everyone's cheering about him. I think that's when she fucking finds her self-respect being like, oh no, this is my kid and he's great. I'm not letting anyone tarnish him and I have to respect myself for that. That's how I kind of see it. But this scene where he pushes Steve Carell, where he's just like, don't fucking touch me. And then like Steve Carell try to fight a teenager. Dude, this guy is nothing. He is nothing. I would destroy him. I would
I
destroy
mean,
him.
sadly, I know many people like him, and there's many of them all
There
over the
is.
place. They
There is
exist.
the
That's the thing that's scary about this movie. Is I feel like he feels a little too real because, like I
yeah.
said, he's so subtle that this feels like a very much a dude that exists in a lot of relationships, and it makes it that much harder to watch, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Um, but yeah, this scene is just really tough, and then to add fuel to the fire, Trent basically tells him that his dad didn't want him when Duncan expresses wanting to go live with his dad. And so this just makes him feel completely low. This brings back like all the unwanted feelings, like all that progress he just made almost feels like it's like slightly diminished in this moment. Like he just feels so low.
Yeah. It's
Kind of like
awful.
he did at the beginning of the movie. So it's really sad. And then obviously he runs away. Susanna tries to comfort him. And then to add to feeling shitty, he tries to kiss her and she kind of pulls away. And this makes him feel even worse. And it's so sad. My little baby Duncan. So he sneaks away to the water park, of course. I feel like that's kind of a natural, like, next step.
Yep.
He finds Peter hiding and then ends up having to bring Peter along so that he won't scream. So he takes him with him, which I think their little friendship in this scene is really cute.
So do I. I
But
think it's good.
yeah, they go to the party at, well, they didn't know it was a party, but they go to the Water Whiz. They find out that they're having a party for Lewis up in Owen's apartment. And one thing this is kind of, we've already touched on it a little bit, but I did want to like add one thing I love is that like the difference in how Duncan, like his demeanor and happiness when he goes to the water park versus when he's at the lake house is like so
It's an
drastically
escape.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally like his escape. Like even like I said earlier, like down to him watching Owen like apologize and be better for Caitlin right in front of him. Like these are just like such good examples of relationships and how to be like the type of man he wants to be. And I love that we get to like witness those moments. Like it adds so much to the character development, which I think is really important. So I do love those moments. I love the whole party scene. I think it's great. And then they have that one last conversation at sunrise. This is what you were talking about, where he
I love
basically
this.
tells him like, there's a whole world out there for you, Duncan. Like, don't settle. Like, not yet. Like, you're still so much for you to learn and see. And then you can just tell like Duncan's just not having it. Owen finally just says like, "What is going on?" Like actually asking him, "What is with you? Like what's got you upset?" Which no one's really asked him at this point
No one has. You
how he's
realize that
doing.
no one has. Yeah.
No, yeah, exactly. And then he basically just like opens up, spills to him about, Trent and him calling him a three. And he's like, he called me a three. Like he's so hurt by that, which who wouldn't be
Yeah,
hurt
that
by that?
is
It's
truly like you think about it. That is truly like horrific to hear.
yeah, horrible.
Yeah.
And then I love Owen's response though. And he's just like, that is so much more about him than you, bud. Like I know, basically tells him that his dad was kind of the same way. And I love that he just like remains positive with it. He doesn't just use it as a moment to like try to shit on Trent or anything. He's just kind of like, you have to go your own way.
Yeah.
And that's the only way, to get past this. And just, kind of supports him. And they have that sweet moment where he kind of like leans on him. It's not like a full hug, but it's like, it very much looks father and son esque, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Then he finally goes back home and finds out that he has to leave, which of course upsets him. And he's just like, Mom, I'm sorry. Like, why do we have to leave? Like, he obviously wants to stay and go to the park and spend time with these people that he just built a relationship with. But they have to leave. So he says goodbye. Him and Susanna finally share a kiss. And she's like, you just surprised me, which I think was really
I
cute. And
liked that.
obviously kind of built up his confidence a little bit.
I very much liked that. But
Yeah.
it's like, because even rewatching it, like the first time they tried to kiss, she wasn't like a, oh no, sort of thing.
No,
She's
exactly.
like, Duncan. Like, I think it was just like her trying to comfort him to be like, do you want to do this moment? Like, this is a
Yeah.
fucked up moment for you right now. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the time to try to like he was doing it as a reaction to being upset, which is not the time to have your first kiss together.
Yep. Agreed.
So yeah, they stop at that gas station on their way out. And he's basically just like staring at the park and he finally just hops out of the back, runs over there and like to say goodbye to Owen. And they finally do their race that they've been kind of talking about the whole movie where no one's been able to beat Owen. So he's like, he walks up and he says to Roddy, I think he's like, we're doing it, Hot Rod. I'm going to pass him, which I think is so great.
He's
That's
gonna
his little
pass him.
nickname.
He's gonna pass him.
Yeah.
Papa Lock is going for the pass.
Yeah, this is a great moment. Obviously, great music here during this scene. Great build up. Pam runs after him and heads into the water park, and it's kind of like that's when she's looking around, like you said, walks past the picture and is like, "Wait a second," and sees her son, sees how loved he is, how much fun he's obviously been having, and she's had no clue. She's been totally uninvolved in what he's been up to. I think this moment is like she realizes she doesn't know anything about her son, and like you said earlier, it's like that moment where she kind of like wakes up and realizes what she needs to do. So anyways, they end it. He beats Owen. Everyone's cheering him on. And then he gets to meet her. And Owen's just like, you got a hell of a kid here, which I think is such a great, line to share with her. You can just like see the smile on his face and she gets it, like she's like, wow, I really do. And I had no clue. And then he gives him a big hug, thanks him for everything. It's a really sweet moment. Aw. I was like, aw, out loud whenever I watched it.
But it's also a moment that she like regains herself, sort of thing, through him.
I love their relationship. Yeah, it's so good. And then obviously while driving back home, this is where we get that fantastic final scene shot where Pam's kind of like looking back at him, looking out the window, looking at Trent, like not saying a word. The most silent car ride
So good.
ever. And she just looks back and then that music picks up and she just crawls back there. And then I just love my like interpretation of this moment is that they are on the same page for like the first time in the whole movie without saying a single word to each other.
Correct.
It's like her getting back there just like told him everything he needs to know.
Yeah, that she's with him.
Yep.
Also,
Yeah.
shout out to the Owen line though, where he goes, "Oh, you must be Trent. I'm friends with the three."
Friends with the three. I know I didn't write it down, but I was hoping that one of us would bring it up.
For sure.
So,
And then like he like ignores anger and tries to grab Duncan. Bad
he
move,
stepped
by
in
the
front
way.
of him.
But not even that. Doesn't like barge him. He just like puts his head down and like it's very subtle of don't fuck with him sort of thing.
Yeah.
I really
exactly.
really like that. But also I just want to shout out to my favorite line of the film is when the three kids like go down the water slide and they get stuck.
Oh yeah.
And then Owen goes up to the line and goes, "I need a hero.
Oh,
I'm holding out for a hero to the end of the night. He's got to be strong. He's got to be fast. And he's got to be fresh from the fight. I need someone to take out three kids in the film." Big guy's like, "I'll do it."
Love it. That whole scene. Yeah, I didn't like write down specific scenes like that, but I do love that scene.
No,
I
I
think it's
literally just thought of it then. I just found the quote. I was just like, I just want to make sure I got the quote right because it's from Bonnie Tyler.
so.
The Bonnie
Oh
Tyler
yeah,
song.
no,
Yeah, yeah.
it's so good. So yeah, that's the end. It's a great shot. It kind of ends how it begins, but full circle moment in that way back of the car. And yeah, I'll just kind of give quickly my thoughts, like
Of course.
just to finish it off, and then I'll let you go. But yeah, basically, I just think this is like an essential coming of age movie. I only just saw it for the first time like 2 to 3 years ago. And I just fell in love with it. And now I've seen it 4 times. And I just think that it's so relatable. It feels like it's going to be kind of generic, like coming of age, but then they add so many elements that are so unique that kind of make it like its own thing. I think, yeah, Duncan's got great character development, great side characters. Again, shout out Allison Janney. She's fantastic.
Amen.
And yeah, I just love the cast. And I think, honestly, just seeing a story like this with characters like Duncan and then getting to have a character like Owen, like be your person that like really helps you figure yourself out. I just think that it's kind of a unique type of relationship we don't get in a lot of like teenage coming of age movies. So I love it. I think Owen is like one of my favorite characters in any kind of coming of age movie. He's so much fun, and he's just
He's
such a great example for him. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for me. I'm a little higher than I think most people, but I just find so many moments in this movie so like real and authentic and relatable and nostalgic. So it's just overall a very unoffensive movie. Like,
it
and
is.
it can still like teach you so much and make you feel so many things. So yeah, I just absolutely love this movie.
No, I
What about you?
wholeheartedly agree. I'm giving it a 4, which still means excellent. Great even. It's a movie that you can just recommend to anyone and they'll like. There's so much to take away from it. There's so many lessons in it in terms of like self respect, self identity, and like just loving yourself sort of thing, and being able to stand up against bad shit.
Mhm.
Don't be the Trent in your life, please.
Future.
Anyone that's listening, just don't be a Trent. It's so
You know
easy
it.
to be. It's so easy to be a Trent, but like Christ, fuck you. Yeah, I thought everyone was great. It's also cool to see Steve Carell in a role like this.
Yeah,
I thought,
agreed.
but Sam Rockwell plays the same in every fucking role he's in. He's a lovable guy, except for Green Mile. Not so lovable in that film.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's
Guy's
real.
got range. I tell you what, I love
He
Sam Rockwell.
does.
Big
He's a
fan.
great actor. I love him.
Have you seen Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri?
No, I haven't seen that one yet, but
Oh,
I've
he
heard he's
won.
really good.
Yeah, he won an Oscar for it. Definitely watch it. You'd
Okay.
love it. Definitely watch it.
I will check it out.
Yeah, that's it's Martin McDonough film. So it's
Okay.
this same as in Bruges and
Yeah.
Seven Psychopaths 3 and Banshees. Yeah, wholeheartedly love this. This is such an easy film to watch. Thank you for recommending it, Ash.
Yeah.
This is a good addition. I really it's such an easy rewatch, this film.
Yeah, it really is. Like honestly, I'll be real here. I watched this movie 2 weeks ago, and then I watched it again today, like just to kind of like refresh myself
Hell
for the
yeah.
notes. And I was like, oh yeah, I just watched this 2 weeks ago, but like it was so easy to rewatch. Like I just popped it on like between breakfast and lunch. Like I don't know, it's just
It's a
one of those.
vibe.
Yeah, it really is. And still, it has so much heart to it, even just for being such a vibe summertime movie. And then it worked out that it was the anniversary. So
It's
it's
such a
all
good
perfect.
just the soundtrack alone as well gives
Yes,
you a reason to put it on. Yeah.
it really does. So that is what we think of the way back.
Hey.
But before we finish it off, um, we will have our game draft of the episode. So we are doing movies about people going on vacation. So this can really be
Could be
anything.
anything. Yeah, very
And
much
it could be
anything.
like a weekend trip or it could be like a full-blown vacation. So we're not going to get picky about that. But
Yep.
we'll just do 5 each, go back and forth, and you can start us off.
Oh, okay. I was hoping that you'd start so I can see what direction you're gonna go in.
Okay,
Because,
I can start if you need me to.
yeah, you start. You start.
Okay,
You know what, Ash? You start. I'm gonna give you the first pick.
sure.
I'll write them down.
Uh, so for my first pick, I'm gonna go with just like an amazing film that's it's technically a vacation for both characters, but I'm gonna go Before Sunrise
Nice.
because he's coming from a vacation elsewhere. She's on vacation, so sort of ends up being a vacation movie, even though they're not necessarily supposed to be on it together.
Wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. See, this is I can go any direction here. Now, Paddington, He lived in Peru and he moved. He went to England. Are we calling that a vacation?
I've never seen it. So, I
Hmm.
mean, is he moving or is he going on vacation? Because I think
Well, it's
those are two
kind.
different
Yeah,
things.
it's kind of like I don't think he. It's a grey area. I'm gonna leave it there, but
Okay.
I won't say it. But I won't say Paddington. But it's a bit of a grey area. Um. Okay. Let's go. See, I can go. There's a couple that I want to fuck this up a little bit. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna go National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which is my favorite National Lampoon's film.
Do they go on vacation in the Christmas one though?
Well, it's like all their family goes on vacation to their
Okay, yeah,
house.
yeah. I see. I left it off my list because I wasn't sure, but you're right. All the family's going on vacation,
Yeah,
even though the main fantastic pick, great movie.
yeah.
You had to get one of the vacation movies on the list.
Oh, it has to, right? But a lot of people think that it's not their best, which I understand. It's mainly it might just be like a me thing because I grew up with that movie
Wait,
so many
what?
times. I
People think
fucking
there's another one that's better than Christmas Vacation?
thank you. We're on the same page then, because like people think that like the original Vacation is best. I'm like, it's great. Don't get me wrong, but like
Close.
Christmas Vacation is special. Like
No,
it's
that movie is unlike anything. It's my favorite Christmas movie of all time.
hell yeah. Well, we're doing because there's two of us. We won't do a snake draft. It'll just be like one, 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 one,
Yeah.
one. Yeah. But yeah,
No, that's a
good.
great pick.
I like.
I'm very
I'm
jealous, to be honest. I wasn't thinking about vacation because it's like at their house, so my mind wasn't going there.
yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with one of my personal favorite vacation movies. I know I'm higher on this than most, but I love this film. I'm gonna go with Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Um, Jason Segel,
That was on
Mila
my
Kunis,
list. That was on
and
my
Bell.
list.
Great, great film.
Nice.
And he
Now,
goes to Hawaii. What's wrong? We can't go wrong with Hawaii.
can't go wrong with Hawaii. Beautiful setting.
Love it.
When life gives you lemons, you say fuck the lemons and bail. Ash, I'm gonna go with the Evil Dead 2. Okay? He takes his girlfriend to a remote cabin. You know, they're taking a bit of a holiday into
I
the
think you stole that
fucking.
from me.
Was that on your list?
No, but
It makes sense,
one of
doesn't
my
it?
favorites. It does. I just wasn't thinking vacation because that's no vacation. That is
To be
no.
fair, I do normally read out of books made out of skin on my vacations. So
That's fair.
yeah,
That's fair. Okay. All
got the Evil
right.
Dead
I
too.
see you, Harry. I see you. Okay, you're going with the horror films. I get you.
Oh yeah,
Um, well, on that vein, maybe you've inspired me then.
maybe I have. I
I'm gonna go
normally
with one of the greatest vacation horror films, and I'm not sure if you've seen it actually. An American Werewolf in London.
I've never seen it. No,
Oh my God. I could have
good.
waited to take it then, but that's all right. This movie is fantastic. Yeah, I mean they're two friends and they're on a trip in London
Nice.
and attacked by a werewolf. And this has one of the best transformation scenes I've ever seen
Hell yeah. So shall I watch
using
it?
practical effects.
I should watch it then because I love the
Yeah,
howling. I really like the howling.
you
Don't
will love this because you appreciate this type of horror. I
awesome.
think you'll really like it.
Well, I'm about to win this draft here. I'm just going to be
Okay.
completely honest. I'm about to win this draft here. I'm going with one of the greatest holiday films of people taking a holiday. And tell you what, tourism in Greece skyrocketed out after this film. One of the greatest bands of all time. I'm going Mamma Mia.
Already.
Mamma Mia.
I'm not as high on it as other people. Like, I don't know. I like it, but I don't think it's like the greatest musical ever. It's not even on my top 10.
Mamma Mia rules. Dude,
I am
like,
a big
I
fan of
tell you
ABBA.
what, if I'm going to get double points, I'm going to text my mum. And
Okay, we know you're gonna get your mom's vote.
I'm gonna be like, "What's your opinion of the film Mamma Mia?" And if it's positive, I reckon I get double points. That's what I reckon.
Okay. Well, that's good for you, but I'm gonna take a very unique vacation film,
Go ahead. I'm
and
all
I'm gonna
about
take
unique.
Summer.
Damn it! I was gonna take Midsummer. Damn it,
That's what you get. That's what you get.
well done. That's a great one. That's a really good pick.
You didn't think I'd take it because you know I don't love it as much, but I
I
still think it's a good movie.
didn't
And it's
think you would.
definitely a vacation.
Oh,
That's for
definitely a vacation. No, that's okay. That's put me in a bit of a spiral now, Ash. That's a good one. Well done. That's a very, very good one. Now, Ash, I wanna get your opinion on this film. They're taking a vacation to Jurassic Park because they're visiting it's the kids, they're out of school and they're visiting their granddad. They're on vacation. They're
No,
visiting their... No? Really? Okay, all
no.
right.
Get out of here with
I
that.
reckon that's actually a good
You already
one.
took Evil Dead 2. Okay, no.
All right, all right. What about The Hangover? They're all on
Bachelor party.
they're going to Vegas. You reckon that's not a vacation? That's a
I
little
mean,
holiday away.
I guess it is. That
It's
I can't, the logic doesn't work there. So
it's
I
a
can,
weekend away, you know? It's the boys.
you can take The Hangover.
Yes, I'll take The Hangover.
I wish I would have thought of that. That's a great one.
I do think Jurassic Park is a vacation.
Okay, when I had this idea for this draft, it was supposed to be like you need to look at the movie and be like, "Oh yeah, that's a movie about going on vacation, not just a movie where anybody leaves where they live and goes to a
You
different."
reckon people decide to live in Jurassic Park, Ash?
You're not taking Jurassic Park.
Okay, all
That's
right.
the
I've let it go. I've let it go. Enjoy your midsummer.
I will, and I'm gonna enjoy capping off my list with a movie we've already discussed this year, and that is After Sun.
Nice work. Oh my God, didn't even have that on my list. Well done. That is very much a vacation film. Also, horrifically sad vacation film.
Yes, it is horrifically sad.
Okay, well now I'm a bit of
Vacation
a...
film, nonetheless.
Now, I want to cap this. This is definitely it is a vacation film. I would say he goes on vacation, but he's also searching for someone. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where
I've never
he's going from different country to different country, but he's searching.
if you want. I can't veto something I've never seen.
Like he's not on there purely for vacation because he's kind of chasing like the final photo. That's kind of what he's. So it's probably not vacation, is it? Probably not. That's all right. I'm okay to not take it. I'm okay to not take that. What do you think about Goofy movie? Is that a vacation movie?
They never actually really go on the vacation.
I'm looking at different articles and a lot of them say Goofy movie. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I don't think they go on vacation. So I'm not going to take
Well,
it.
they try to go camping. I wouldn't call that a vacation,
No, neither
but
do I.
it
Camping,
doesn't really work out.
let's all agree. Camping sucks. Okay. Well, there goes.
You could just take the movie we talked about today if you really don't have any.
No, like, because I feel like I want to do something a bit weird, you know? Because I can't take that. I can't take that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Already taken that. It really comes down to the nitty gritty here, doesn't it? At the end of it. I'm going to take... No, I'm not. Maybe I am.
Oh my God, Harry.
I'm going to take Weekend at Bernie's.
Okay, I've also never seen it.
Damn it. Weekend at Bernie's is great. You got to watch that.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Okay, we successfully made a list of 10 vacation movies.
Hell
We
yeah.
did it. All right, to recap, Harry, you had Christmas Vacation, Evil
Boom.
Dead 2, Mamma Mia, The Hangover, and Weekend at Bernie's. Me, Ash versus Movies, had Before Sunrise, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, American Werewolf in London, Midsummer, and After Sun.
What a fucking mix. And also to keep you up to date, my mum says that she absolutely loves Mamma Mia. So it's double points for me.
Shocking.
Double points.
All right, we'll see what the rest of the audience says. Depends on what kind of mood they're in, because these are very different moods, these
Very
two.
different. Very different.
But
Midsummer's a good pick.
It is. It is a good pick. That is our draft, and that is our episode on the way back. So next week we will be doing Kiki's Delivery Service, and we'll have a special guest for that one. I can't wait. I love that movie so much. I can't wait to rewatch it.
Never seen it.
Oh, I'm so excited for you.
I'm keen.
Yeah,
I'm very keen.
definitely a favorite in that Studio Ghibli movies for me. But yeah, until then, that is what we think of the way back. I'm Ash. This is Harry. Follow us on everything, and we will see you at the movies.